Hey everyone, so welcome to Westside Healthy Living Space and another video for you. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about common myths and facts to do with erectile dysfunction. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm doing a video for men, I feel led at the moment to do a couple of videos pertaining specifically to men. And that's not because women don't matter, but I feel there's a lot of stuff about women and we're generally more particular about our health. And that's partly because we're more complicated. And even me as a professional, I didn't used to like doing learning about women's health because I used to feel it's too complicated. But obviously, as I've gotten older, I can't run away from it because I'm a woman myself. But in practice, I've noticed some common patterns and common trends when it comes to men. So I felt like I would do a couple of videos just to help. At least if you get a couple of tips, it can help provide some guidance and, just support you in your health journey as a man. So today, following on from last week's video, I want to talk about the myths and facts pertaining to erectile dysfunction that I feel that you should be aware of and you should take note of. So first one on the list is that Viagra is the main and only treatment when it comes to erectile dysfunction in men, or drugs similar to Viagra. There's about five or six of them on the market, four or five of them on the market, actually. That's a myth. The fact of the matter is there are many different solutions to erectile dysfunction, and I actually think those drugs should be the last resort, not the first resort, in most of the cases. There are some cases where I would say yes. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. There are some cases where I would say yes, give it a go, but in a lot of cases, there are other options. There are five different types of Viagra. Each of those types have some pros and some cons, and I will do a video later on giving you a brief overview of the different types and where you might want to, which one you might want to choose. There are other drugs that, that can be used for that. There are natural supplements that can be used to support you. I've seen men that have said, oh, their erections are okay, but they just feel they need it to, they want to see if they can push themselves a bit more and they feel Viagra can help. For something like that, you might want to try a natural herb or supplement instead. There's lifestyle, and there are many different things that cause erectile dysfunction difficulties. So Viagra is not the only treatment, and it's definitely not the only answer, and it's not always the answer. So take note of that fact number one. Okay, so the second myth is that erectile dysfunction only affects older men. Again, that's a myth. It's not a fact. What we're finding, in fact, last week I gave you statistics where I said they did a study, and 25 to 34-year-old men, at least 40%, give or take, of men were affected, had some sort of erectile dysfunction disorder. And that doesn't surprise me because increasingly we're also seeing men being diagnosed with long-term conditions like cardiovascular diseases at an earlier age, things like HIV. All those type of things sometimes can have an impact on your erectile dysfunction, and so you may need more help or more support in order to, have erections and dysfunction. It's definitely not something that affects just older men. It can affect younger men as well. And like I said, it's really important that, you speak to someone before you just reach for Viagra. And I feel it's important I say this because I know we live in a world where it's very easy for you to order a drug online. You can put in whatever details you want. No one will check you out properly. Sometimes you'll have a conversation, other times you won't. So please remember this, to speak to someone and check. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to try it and see what happens, because you could be delaying or prolonging the inevitable, and you could be getting yourself to a point of no return. So the Viagra or whatever medicine you're taking is working, is doing something, or it seems like it's working, but actually you get to the point where it's not working anymore, and you don't have that many options because you've maybe you had a long-term disease that you didn't know, and that in itself will affect your erections. And then the medications that you need to take for those diseases sometimes will give you life, but at the expense of you having normal erections. So it's really important that you're aware it doesn't just affect older men, it can affect men of any age. So, the third myth is that erectile dysfunction is not a serious health issue. That's a myth. The fact is that it can be a serious health issue. It's not always a serious health issue, and if it's just minor situations, minor cases, then it may be that it is, it's minor. But you yourself know what's normal for you, and you know what's not normal for you. And what we know is that oftentimes it can be a serious health issue for men. It's a sign. So having regular erections is not just about your sexual health. It's not just about your ability to have penetrative sex. It's also a reflection of your general health and well-being. And like I was saying to you last week, it could be the sign of a cardiovascular disease. The evidence says that erectile dysfunction predates cardiovascular diseases by at least 10 years. So it could be a wake-up call for that. It could be an indication of the fact that you've got diabetes. It could be the fact that maybe your mental health and well-being isn't right. There's so many things. So it can be a serious problem if it's not dealt with sooner rather than later. So don't put it off. If you are having those difficulties, make sure you speak to someone and make sure you do something from an informed point of view, not from a random point of view, but an informed and intentional point of view, so that you can take intentional actions towards resolving the situation. So that's the third one. So the fourth one is that erectile dysfunction means that you are not attracted to your partner anymore. And I feel this is important, I say, because I know a lot of men, when they start to have erection problems, some of their friends tell them, some of their peers tell them, oh, they need a younger woman, or they need a different woman, or they need someone more beautiful, or they just need a woman that knows how to give you a kick. And then they start to put their relationship in jeopardy. Then they start to get stressed. And then it's like a vicious cycle. The problems that they didn't have before, then they start having. So it doesn't necessarily mean that and I say that because there's so many factors that come into play when it comes to your erections. Your vascular pathway is included. Your hormonal pathways are included. Your nervous system is included. All these things come together to give you an erection. So if there's something wrong, which is why I said in fact, if I'm to say it in one sentence, if you're having erectile dysfunction issues, any issues at all, just see it as a wake-up call for you to have a general health checkup and make sure everything is working as it should. That should be your first step. It shouldn't be trying to find another partner or starting to look at your current partner, who I'm sure you were attracted to at some point, and you were not just physically attracted to, there were other factors that made you choose her. So it's not just about that. And I would encourage you to explore those things first before you start exploring a separation, because you could be inviting more problems, more complications that you didn't need to if you just knew the answer. Now, it's important that, because I'm saying that doesn't mean that you don't need sexual stimuli in order to have a fulfilling sexual